Welcome to the Minimoo story. My name is Mira. In today's episode, I will talk about self-medication, as I think it's a natural sequel to my previous episode regarding my mother, my upbringing with a mother drinking alcohol every single day. I cannot remember when my mother she started to drink alcohol. She had at least a bottle of wine and some snaps every single day. On special occasions, maybe even 2 bottles of wine or an entire bottle of snaps, meaning her passing completely out. As far as I remember back, my mother, she had a severe alcohol problem, which means that I grew up in a home where drinking alcohol was the normal thing to do. First, a short explanation. I think my mother, she started to self-medicate because she had troubles in life. I think she had some mental disease. However, I don't know her final diagnosis. But in my opinion, she acted a little bit schizophrenic, paranoid, severe OCD, neurotic symptoms, and she might also have had real issues with her vision, just like me. And I think my mother, she have had, if not the same, then a similar eye disease, causing real troubles with her vision. If you're troubled in life and if you do not have the courage and the mentality and the emotional support from your surroundings to fight whatever you're dealing with, I think it's quite natural for people to find relief and control drinking some kind of alcohol during the day, maybe in the evening, because then it will be easier to fall asleep in the evening, and you will be a little bit more calm during the day due to the alcohol. It could also be doing drugs. In my experience, when I was a teenager, I had a lot of drinks, and it's quite normal behavior in Denmark when you're a teenager and when you're young. You drink hard, you party hard, and it's commonly accepted. You are not considered having alcohol problems among your peers. A lot of alcohol abuse is to be found in the youth, among the youth in Denmark. Further, a lot of them are doing drugs, and it might be as well because you're insecure when you're younger. You have to realize, who am I, and finding your way in society among your friends, what do you want from life, all those things. So I think that is the normal and the, in Denmark, Western world, accepted use of alcohol. Then you have the self-medication part. For some people, it continues. They don't stop. So I think my mother, she began drinking when I was a toddler somehow. She might have partied. It was in the 70s, early 80s. And at some point she started to have those daily glasses of wine or merely a bottle further on with some snaps. To her, I think it was a way to keep a normal life. At one point it becomes a habit. You have to have that drink to get out of bed. You have to have that second drink to put on your clothes. You have to have that third drink to get out of the door, and so on. And then finally, at the end of the day, you also have to have a drink, or maybe even more, to relax after a day. And then you have to have at least one nightcap before turning into bed, because it will make your sleep much better. To her, it was a way of living. She explained it at one point. I remember she went to the doctor, and the doctor has pointed out that she was drinking a little too much alcohol. And my mother, she had asked her, "Do you really think so?" And the doctor had answered her, "Well, it's a way of living." So my mother, she turned it in, "Oh, this is just a lifestyle, you know, to have a glass here and there, a bottle here and there every single day." People who are self-medicating and do not see the pattern of them needing a daily drink or a daily bottle of a drink, they don't see it themselves. They might not even recognize that they have a real problem. Now I'm only talking about the alcohol. This might as well be translated into gambling, drugs. So my expertise is within growing up with a mother drinking alcohol. And I remember that sometimes I tried to pour out her bottle of red wine, and she would be so furious with me. She even laid a hand on me once, maybe twice, because I was pouring out her red wine. And yes, as I also mentioned before, we didn't have any money at all. It might as well have been that we had a little money, but we didn't have any at all, because my mother, she had to have a bottle of wine and schnapps every single day. So it all adds up and makes sense. So my mother, she didn't realize that she had a true problem, I think. And it caused me quite some troubles, because I felt insecure and humiliated because the way my mother, she might act. She might say some really weird things because she was under the influence of alcohol. And I was insecure about, was I even able to get into the apartment where we lived, or was she passed out? Further, I think my mother, she was in some kind of treatment for her fragile nerves, which sometimes meant that she had some kind of medication, which I don't know what was, but I knew she had some pills sometimes. And when she continued drinking that alcohol combined with the pills, she completely passed out. And it could take hours before I was able to get in contact with my mother. You should be able to reach your parents whenever. If you're home with your parents, they shouldn't be, completely wasted and unconscious because they have had too much to drink or too many pills or whatever. So, well, it left me, I was reading a book, or I went out and I had some friends and I was touring the neighborhood with my friends instead. This is also, I think, one of the reasons my mother, she was more obsessed about getting her daily drinks than, in fact, cleaning, in fact, taking a shower, in fact, trying to get a job, earn for her living, so many other things. So she was kind of like fading away with a bottle of wine every single day. And that is so sad, but I also think quite pathetic. I recognize some of the things if you need to self-medicate. Luckily for me, I recognize all the symptoms because I do know if partying hard when I was younger, I felt a little bit limp, but when I had my drinks, I was like, yeah, happy, let's party, and everything is so cool, and life is good, and all that stuff. And I can imagine by now that you have all those drugs also in the nightlife, where people, they're partying really hard, both drinking and doing drugs. It can be quite difficult to wake up Monday morning and go to work, go to school without being a Blue Monday. So you need something to get you started as well. But it's not healthy, and that is not the way a human living being is supposed to work. I mean, you should be on such an emotional level that you can find the happiness and the motivation in getting up every single day and go on and do your stuff. And if you're not able to do that, there's something wrong in your life. And alcohol, drugs, all those other crazy things are not the answer. You have to find the answer within yourself. What do you like? What do you want of life? Growing up with red wine all over the place. We had bottles all over the place, as explained before. I really don't like red wine today. I don't like the smell of it. I have tried several times. I have been on such fancy posh restaurants, served the most amazing vintage wine. I really don't like it. I don't like the influence of alcohol when you lose control. I don't see anything wrong in taking a glass or few glasses once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. You should do everything with a healthy attitude. The same with drugs. I haven't tried anything really hard at all in my life. It has been offered to me several times, a lot of times actually, and every single time I said no, and it was simply out of me knowing that if I tried that cocaine, if I tried those pills, I would like it, and I would like it so much that I would want to do it again and again and again. So therefore I have always said no, even though the people have passed around a tray with cocaine right under my nose and telling me what to do. I have always said no, but still stayed with them. But knowing that if I once gave into this temptation, I wasn't sure that I would be strong enough to turn it down again. And retrospective, looking back at my youth, I am so proud of actually being able to say no, to admitting to myself that this is a temptation that is so dangerous that you shouldn't even consider it, because you will fall in. And that makes me proud, because it's a self-knowledge that I'm not sure everybody has. But you should really look into yourself, standing on that threshold, and looking into the abyss of temptation. Do you want to go there, or do you not want to go there? I think this is mainly because I have seen what my mother, she was like my entire life. I knew what an abuse could do to people, and also as a part of my both education from the school, walking around in the streets of Copenhagen, I have also seen the drug addicts and the homeless people living on the street, and maybe it could be the next step for my mother. And knowing that I have, I don't know if you call it the genes, for giving into your temptations, I shouldn't do it. It would simply be too high of a gamble for me. So what are my drugs? My real drugs? Everything with sugar, almost everything with sugar. It's like Ben and Jerry's, cakes, it's licorice, it's chocolate. Oh my God, chocolate. I can eat chocolate 24/7. For breakfast, no regrets at all. My second drug, it's CrossFit, and that's what keeps me going. And it gets me up in the morning. I want to produce something. I'm almost a religious CrossFit exerciser, but still in a healthy way. I know when I should stay home and rest. It's also a part of it. The same with the chocolate. I know when should I eat it and when should I go to the gym and put in the hours. Transforming all that sugar and fat into muscles. To me, the most important thing with my drugs in life is, do I cause any trouble for other people with my habits? I don't. Or well, I might for my son, because sometimes if he has some candy laying around or some chocolate that he might save, and suddenly the big candy monster has been there eating it all, destroying, he's like, "Mom, where's my candy? I saved it for, Friday or wherever. Why did you eat my candy? Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. I will buy you something new." That is the most severe influence my habits has on my family. I would go to the gym once every weekend, but I'm also arranging things with my family, and then I will try to work those two things together. I do not cancel everything just to go to the gym, or I will not cancel everything just to sit home eating chocolate, ice cream and cake. So you see, my habits do not affect other people in a negative way. In fact, I will become more happy. CrossFit will trick my brain and my reward system, getting my endorphins flowing around in the body. I have mentioned this as well before, and making me feel more happy. So does chocolate. So I mean, that is the results, making me feel happy, doing natural things. Taking drugs, drinking alcohol, making you feel happy has also a downside, and it affects your surroundings, even you might not even know it. For instance, in my case, this was my mother drinking alcohol, passing out. Having some pills combined with alcohol, passing out. In the episode about my mother, I spoke about Christmas Eves I have had, celebrating, if you can call it that, all by myself when I was young. And no one should go through that. That is not the way a family works. We should do things together and support each other and be together for the holidays. Not being passed out because your bad habits has taken over and you are no longer in control, but your bad habit is. If you have a real problem with alcohol, drugs, whatever, and it influences on your daily life, on your work life, on your social life, on your family life, you might not even know it yourself, because a true addict don't know they are an addict. It's a disease that can be cured, but you should know that you have this disease, and it can be frustrating as a family member or as a close person to see destroying yourself, and you might not even be aware of what you're doing. First, recognizing that you have a problem. Second one is you need help. And there are so many opportunities out there, especially in the Western world. You have all those AA, Anonymous Alcoholics, NA, Narcotic Anonymous, I think it's called. You have it for the gambling, for every single thing almost. Also, as I mentioned in a previous episode about trust, you should find someone that you believe is trustworthy. Try to have a talk with them, try to have their opinion on the situation that you're in, and try to seek help. Also go to your house doctor, all that stuff, because it will influence people around you in a bad way. You will scar them for life, especially if you are the one with the responsibility. You can scar your children, your grandchildren, so on, with your bad habits, and you can pass on those bad habits to the next generation without intending to, but you might do. Then you will leave the problem of being a pattern breaker up to the next generation, and they might not even be strong enough to break the pattern of your bad habits. I hope you appreciated my little talk about self-medication. I hope you will reflect about this. Do you have any really bad patterns yourself? Do you affect other people negatively around you? Either your job, your family, so on? Could you in fact change something so you do not affect them negatively? Or do you have somebody near you who might be in a situation where they need help? That was a harder topic as well, but it's so important, and it's much more common than we actually believe. The people drinking the wine, for instance, it might be the really low social poor classes, not having any money, drinking the bad cheap wine from the boxes, up to the really high class one, starting opening the rosé on the terrace in the summertime, drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning and throughout the day being a little bit tipsy. So both cases are alcohol problems, and then you can just add it up. Yes. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, be kind, treat people around you with respect, consider your actions. Do you have a negative influence on other people with your habits? Smile at a stranger, and remember to help each other. Remember to help your friends and your family if they need it and if they actually ask for help. Also, there's nothing wrong in helping a stranger. That is the Karma Sans Frontières. We need to help each other and be kind to each other, because that will make this world a better place. Thank you.